can't see myself. Am I live? I
We're
don't know.
live.
I am live. All right, there I am. Hey everybody, how are we doing today? Today is the 24th of September, and it's me, Dan. And today is the day each week that we um, dedicate to connecting with our staff and other stakeholders to check in and stay connected. And we call it our Unity Forum. So if you're new to this forum, welcome. And if you're coming back, welcome. I appreciate all the people that show the investment and the desire to stay connected to the organization. We're obviously going through a big thing. This morning we had the ADP have their annual meeting, and I happen to sit on the board, and I'm actually on the executive committee. I'm the clerk there, so I had to do an update on governance, and a lot of the talk was what it's been like, how ADP has been a real source of support and information and guidance and mobilizing our industry to make sure that we're represented as well as we can be, from a fiscal perspective. And it was a good meeting. We did it virtually, of course. It's the new normal for most of us, and so clearly this is you can hardly do anything in life without having COVID somehow lurking and somehow defining what it is that you're doing. But we have not let that stop us. And today I'm very excited because I've got three wonderful guests. And what we're doing today is we're going to be interviewing three staff that are essentially our attendance and billing department. We're going to start with Heather Grahamstorff. Greg could start to bring her up. Her list of accolades are pretty long, so she might get bored. Hi, Heather. Could you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you.
Now, I want to start before I say any of the good stuff. I want to talk about, you know what I'm going to say.
I know what you're going to say.
And I had forgotten about it, but you were talking about, I forget now even how it came up, but you said, and I am not a stupid woman. And I just, that it probably lost something in translation. What did it have to do with?
It had to do with when the union first was going around to people's homes when they try to get in, and the guy wanted to talk to me, and he was slinging so much bull, and I looked at him, I said, do I look like a stupid woman? And he just looked dumbfounded and didn't know how to respond to me.
No, on the contrary, you are far from stupid. You're the most intelligent woman, and we are lucky to have had you as long as we have. Now, if you can believe this, you have been with us now. It will be 10 years.
10 years this December.
You know what that means? You're going to get a nice big award. Something that would, I say it's big enough that it could serve as a weapon in self-defense if you needed to, but not so big that it wouldn't fit on a bookshelf. So,
okay.
So that's kind of the size we're talking about. And I'm looking forward to it. By the way, Karen Franklin just told me that there's, I forget what she said, a lot of longevity awards that we have to hand out this fall. Yours being among them. How many? 44. Isn't that ridiculous?
That says a lot for us.
Yes, it does. It does. And I got all excited and she says, how do you want to do it? Should we just, I said, let's think of the most creative way we could think of to like hand these out, because this is a special time for all of us, but me in particular. I love the chance to connect with people that have been with us for a long time. So 10 years, that's a decade. That's a long time. Did you ever work someplace as long as this?
No.
See?
No.
So you, probably one of the most notable things about you, aside from the fact that you've just been with us for 10 years and it's been amazing, is that you are one of the 16 remember Club 50 Dynasty members.
I am.
You are, and actually you're number 6 on that list. I think that may be having to do with the amount of money that you've raised. Do you have any idea how much you've raised over the time that you've been raising money?
Oh God, no.
You had to guess, so I'll guess. $12,000, over 12,000.
I was gonna say 6.
Just enough to buy like a pretty decent used car or something. I mean, that's a lot of money. Since 2015, and you have your claim to fame is the pancake breakfast, and you sell candy all year long, and you even
The
raised quite a
spaghetti
bit.
suppers. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you started doing the billing, working on the billing. I don't know when. How long has it been since you've done that? About is it
3
2 months?
years.
Oh, 3 years? It's 3 years.
Well, no, I was up in the billing department about 3 years ago, and then I came back downstairs.
Yeah.
But I've been doing the attendance downstairs since I've been back down.
And what started out as being kind of I don't know how long it took originally, but it's become a full-time job for you. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe it started out a few hours and it's turned into, I mean, you're doing it all week long. In fact, was it yesterday when I came up, or was it today? You
it
came
was
in and
yesterday.
you were like, and I got to finish doing the billing, and then I got to, I don't know. I was tired just listening to the things you had to do. You're a busy lady. You're a busy woman. Um, Something that said about you is you're extremely accurate and precise with details. That's important when you're talking about the billing, and that in spite of a number of sort of medical issues and COVID and all the rest, you have been there for us,
Yeah,
to make sure we get it. And we're going to talk today, and I'm going to give you a minute to talk about what it is you do exactly, but how your role, kind of interfaces with Tania and with Cheryl. And if we didn't have you guys, we would cease to exist, because you're the I don't know what you'd say, like the conduit to the money. We do a service, we take attendance, and then we bill for it, and that's how we get paid. And if we didn't have you entering that in and doing it accurately, we wouldn't last very long. So tell us what the job is like, how it's so complicated now. I mean, can you kind of explain what it is you do?
it is. It used to be when we were open, all three buildings, there was somebody assigned at each building that entered their attendance, their transportation, whatever. But now it's just one person tracking everybody that attends NuPath. So basically, I have to print out daily all the virtual class slips. Then I have to go through them and I have to sort whether they're from the Martin Center, they're from Westford, or they're from here.
Because
And
the reason for that is because names are on different contracts, right?
yes,
But you may have
yes,
one name that's on several contracts if
right.
people are in different contracts. So it's got to all be like parsed out separately.
Right. And luckily, after I enter it into a spreadsheet, Cheryl goes in and splits them to the contracts. I also have to print out the the triage calls. And I log all those in, all the triage calls that are made from all three buildings every day. And I have to go and compare the triage log that I keep to the spreadsheet to make sure that nobody has forgotten to put a triage form in. Just in case we ever get audited, we need that paper trail to back up exactly what's on our spreadsheets and what we're billing for. I
Wow.
also am tracking the daily attendance in the buildings. So I have to break that down into, if somebody's here 6 hours, I got to break that down into minutes, which converts over to units for Cheryl to bill out. So we have to put all that in. The classes, you have to put in exactly like what time they were in. So some people may only stay in a class for 15 minutes and lose interest. Some will stay the full hour or whatever. You have to keep an accurate count of how long that person stayed in each class and enter all that. So that's basically what I've been doing, and then putting everything into binders daily under which class was run where, so that we have the full paper trail.
And we need the paper trail. We can't.
Yes.
Oh, it sounds like a gruesome job. I forget. I wish I'd printed out what I think Greg had some statistics we looked at, or I forget where they came from, that talked about the thousands and thousands of entries that you do. Do you know?
I do close to 8,000 entries a month.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
then after I do my daily logins, I have to go to a different spreadsheet and upload all the data for Ted Horn to review. And he kind of tracks whether or not we're trending in a certain direction and stuff like that. So
don't think people realize sometimes all the intricacies that go into just simply getting paid. It's not like,
Right.
we just get the money like dumped into our accounts. We have
Yeah.
to be very meticulous. And now that there are so many different codes for different activities, so you have one code if they'd be in day have another code if they'd be, in work, but doing 3168, which would be looking for work, or
Right.
313, which is community-based day supports. I mean, there's all these different codes that people might fall into, and you might have 2 hours 316, 3163, or 4 hours 3163, and 2 hours 3168, or some combination of day habit of that. And so, do you get to know sort of what people's? I mean, after a while, does it start to, kind of, what to expect when you see a name, and you know what they usually are doing, and or is it
Um,
different all the time?
I'm not doing that part of it. Cheryl does mostly
Okay.
that part, her and Tania. I basically have to know what class they attended, where they live, whether they're at home or in one of our group homes. I have to know which group home they're from, and I mark that down also on the my tracking and stuff like that. So it's basically they take what I'm entering and that's what they're billing off of. So I have to make sure it's accurate. And when I start getting on employees to get their class slips in, I'm not doing it to be a which I just need. I can't do my job if they're not getting theirs in, you know?
What's the biggest mistake that most staff make that you find because I imagine you'll find errors, do you? And
I've found a few where someone will put down that somebody's been in a class for a certain time, and I'll go to the next class and they have that person in for the same time slot. And it's like, we can't do that. That's double dipping, you know? Go back to your screenshot and find out exactly what time they were in that class for so that I
you would
can bill
never
it
have
back.
a situation where somebody said somebody was in these various classes, and then later find out that they weren't at work at all that day, would you?
I haven't found that yet.
Well, that has happened. I don't mind saying that. I mean, these are things that could not only get us in a lot of trouble if it's deemed
Yes.
to be some sort of a fraudulent, deliberate, sort of maneuver of trying to, like you say, double bill or double dip.
Right.
But it could be a very costly correction, because
Right.
if you're saying that somebody's here and they're really not, you find out, oh, they were in hospitalized for 3 weeks or something, and the the billing of the Commonwealth is connected with CMS at the federal level, and so all of the if Medicaid or Medicare is billed in a hospital setting for one of our folks, they know that they should be billed here, and that can
Right.
be problematic. So I imagine that part of what you're doing is trying to just be another set of eyes on things to just see if you know might catch any of those before they go
Right.
through.
And I'm the first step in the billing process. So if I can catch the mistake at my level, it makes it just easier for them down the road. I had
Mhm.
an incident yesterday where a staff called me and said, listen, I put the 4 guys from this group home in and realized one of them is not there. He's home. Could you please delete him for the last 3 days? So I did. I went back in and just deleted him out. But the staff was, honest about, she made a mistake.
Yeah.
So
Do you enjoy it?
I do. I really do.
It's the
I
kind of
like
challenge you like,
detail
probably.
ori I'm detail oriented.
Yeah, I know you are. I know you are. What is your what do you think is going to happen with COVID, and like, if you had to guess, like, what are people talking about? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I know everybody's saying we're gonna see a resurgence of it in the fall. I pray to God we don't. Um, I don't know. It's if you look at history, this almost plays out the same as the Spanish flu,
Mhm.
and we got through that, you know?
Many more people die. Well, I'm sure glad you're around to help us with this. And if anything, it's crazy because even though we have fewer people coming in and spending less time, in some ways the attendance has become so much more complex because of
Oh, God has it
all of
out.
the virtual stuff and the things that people are that could be doing that we're getting paid for. Yeah, I should have asked you when we started. Have you been all COVID free pretty much at home? Did you have
I
anybody?
have. I was tested 3 times while I was hospitalized a couple weeks ago, and every time you got to go for a procedure, you need to test 48 hours before you go. So,
Mm,
luckily for me, where I have no immune system, I have been COVID free.
you have no immune system.
I have none. I had my spleen removed via emergency last year, so it wiped out my immune system.
I don't even know if that's what spleens did, but I knew that there was something. Um, well, congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
10 years.
Thank you.
I can't wait to give you your weapon/award. And I'm just glad you're here day after day, doing these very tedious but so important tasks that we need somebody with your level of, sort of adherence to the correct procedures and all the rest. I know Cheryl's very, um, I'm gonna say anal. I mean, that's not the right word, but like she's which we need. I mean, that's the right temperament for
Mhm.
somebody in her position. But does she? I mean, she's satisfied with your work, or you keep her?
Absolutely. I have had no complaints from her yet.
Yeah. Well, I don't think today will be the day she'll start.
No.
Hopefully not here on the Unity Forum, but
Yeah.
that was a good question to ask. What if you were to be like, as a matter of fact, I've been really struggling. I bet you guys work really, really well together. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing
Thank
a
you.
little bit about what you're doing and for being there at the front desk when I come in the morning and give me a smile and everything else you do for us. We're so
Thanks.
grateful to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, it wasn't that bad, was it?
No, it wasn't that
Pretty easy. Thank
bad.
you so much, Heather. Bye bye.
Thanks, Dan. Bye.
Hey, next up. So Heather's where it starts, and then it goes to the next level, and that would be Tinia Manaloulis. I hope I said her last name right. I'm just trying to think if I'd heard it said. Titia's been with us. She's got kind of an interesting story. There she is in the most attractive setting. It looks like a living room I'd wanna sit and have a cup of coffee or tea with. And do you have your
Thank
phone on?
you.
There you are. I wanted to hear
Oh,
your. And you told us that you're scattered everybody out. You told them to get out so you could do your thing.
I did. I did. The 2 kids and my husband and the dog. So everyone left. So it could be quiet and
You're one of
stay somewhat.
the first people that I started seeing when we started to come back to the space here. Remember? And we
Mhm.
were just talking about this the other day. And I know I shared it with the admin ops staff meeting, but just for the rest of the viewers out there, you stopped by my office one day. This is early when we were back, and we just had this whole long chat and talked. And I'm just trying to remember what exactly we were talking about. But I remember feeling like this is what we're missing by not being on site. This is what we're missing when we don't rub elbows with one another and we have to distance. Is this interaction that great things can come from, and
Mhm.
you're back there in that kind of office, sort of protected, a little insulated a little bit. So, I could go a whole day if you're here and maybe not see you if our paths don't cross.
Mhm.
Um, and but you've been with us now for since June 15th, 2015. Is that right?
Yep.
As relief. Now, Joe Layoff hired you,
Yes, he did.
and I remember him telling me when I think he interviewed you that you were going to go places, that you were going to probably be snatched up by, some other department because you were smart and capable and did you know he was thinking those things about you?
No, I didn't I'm flattered that, that he said
This
that,
is
but I
somebody
didn't actually know that.
well, I mean, you just struck him as being somebody that had much more to offer, and it proves that he was right. You transferred as relief to driver and then to transportation coordinator. Um, in fact, here I've got a quote. When I interviewed her for the transportation department, I suspected she was going to be stolen from us in short order. He told Brett. So, and then in January of 2018, you joined the billing contracts department. What what's it been like for you going from, it's a weird arc, you started in transportation and the transportation coordinator and then you're going into billing. What's the journey been like for you?
It's, you know what, it's been great because I've been able to say, I feel like I've been able to see it from operationally, from transportation, how, where the first contact that
Right.
families and individuals see,
Right.
to where I am now in contracts under Cheryl, to where, how it gets pieced together. So there, from just the first steps of meeting the families and establishing a relationship and a rapport with them, down to their funding and why they're there and the needs that they have. And so everything can kind of, it works together, and then everything in between just melds.
It must be such a niche. Like, if you're out, then who could do what you do? I mean, maybe Cheryl, but I mean, it's very specific, isn't it? I mean, you have to know what you're doing to do your job.
Oh God, yeah. I was just saying, I will say, well, I'll say
It's
one
not
thing.
just data entry. I mean, you have to be smart to do it.
It's very confusing. It's extremely detailed. And like you had mentioned with Heather, there's so many different codes and contracts. People can be in 5 or 6 different ones, and you need to know exactly, the information in each contract, or what they may be funded for in each contract. So X amount of hours per day, or for work and debilitation and stuff. So it's very, very, very detailed. It is data entry, but it's very detailed, that you have, so that everything is accurate, as you said before with the billing. So everything is accurate. You don't want to bill anything incorrectly. So it is.
So I asked Heather about what kind of mistakes she saw. What's an example of a mistake that you see a lot, or that you have to be really on your toes to make sure, or maybe one that we've made in the past with some consequence, because mistakes do happen. What would you say would be a typical type of mix-up for us?
Just something where maybe Heather had said, again, just, I don't know, like another staff member who may have been doing their attendance that they then sent to Heather, that they might have inadvertently marked someone in when they were out, and vice versa, marked someone out when they were in. So it can go both ways on that. And there is human error in that. There is human error. Nothing is going to be 100% perfect, because we're human beings. But the biggest thing, as Heather said, is that, if a mistake is made, just drop us an email, drop us a line, either Cheryl or myself or Heather, just so that it doesn't go beyond that, or we can fix it if need be. If it's, if it's already been billed, or something that's already been processed through.
I remember, I was thinking as you were talking back to an experience many years ago here at NuPath, and I got a call from a father who used to be on a board of directors, and his son lives in one of our group homes. And he said, yes, he says, I'm a little confused. He says, because I have his communication book, and it said that he's had a great week and talked about all these things, but he's been home with me all week. I don't know how. Oh, and I mean, one thing, it was like one day, but like day after day, like there's very little you can say when a mistake like that's been made. I mean, somebody didn't know who he was, they confused him for somebody else. Mistakes do happen when you're dealing with so many hundreds of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the day services, it's residential too that gets billed, one way or another, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and so when you add COVID to that, you've got people doing unusual things in different kinds of, sort of rhythms or things that don't happen. That makes it even more tricky, and then you have the virtual stuff and all these other things. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen with people coming back to work? If you had to guess, you're a mother, you've got 2 kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? And you know probably, how old are they? Are they school age?
They are. My daughter's 13, my son is 10, so 5th and 8th grade.
And are they doing distance learning? Or what are they?
So they are. It's remote and in person. So similar to NuPath. Certain days, certain times they go in, and the remaining time they're at home on there.
Yeah.
And it is just there's alone, work aside, which is a totally different next level thing.
Yeah.
But just managing their stuff, where they're supposed to be, and there's different days and different schedules for their in-person day versus their virtual day versus the days of the week. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no anything on there. And it's very, now, as you said, with the COVID, the billing is identical to this, but on such a larger scale with all the individuals in the 3 locations and all the families. So there is somewhat kind of, prior to COVID, there was somewhat of a, people kind of tend to have the same schedule, not the same schedule, it was off here and there, but
Yeah.
you pretty much knew what to expect.
Yeah.
Now there is no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
And especially with the way the billing is done, there needs to be, it needs to be an order. And right now there's no order because it's kind of all over the place with the way it's, the services are being handled. So it's difficult, and I used to double check and triple check prior to COVID. I'm checking 8, 9, 10 times now just to make sure. So
No, having that kind of a situation, like facing you every week, it just like repeats itself, doesn't it? Because just what you finish, you have to do it all over again. That would just fill me with such like disease and angst and like just all bound up. But do you see it as a challenge? Are you the type that sees it like, or does it make you feel kind of gross?
no, I do. No, I see it as a challenge. What I also like to see too is, and especially now since we've reopened Westford and New Boston in August, is that I can see it was a good thing because I see people coming back. So when I billed August, this was the first month that we billed in person. It was kind of a sense of, okay, it's a little bit back to, there's people back inside. Individuals, are getting the services, that they desperately need in person.
Right.
The one-to-one that people need, the personal touch on that. So it was nice to see. I mean, granted, the billing, it's right now it's all over the place, but it's nice to be able to look forward to something. So I'm hoping September there'll be more in persons that I see on a list, less virtuals, more remote, and going forward November 7th. So that's my hope, and it looks good, and I'm glad to see individuals because they're happy. You can tell the ones that have come in, when you see them in the office, they're happy. They want to be there. They've been cooped up. They need the services that they need, and we provide for them, and we need to give it to them.
Yeah.
And it's so you can tell that they're happy and upbeat.
Wait, I'm talking to Cheryl next. Is she a good boss?
She's awesome.
She is.
She's awesome. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've had through NuPath, everyone is fantastic here. They really are. I mean, I've worked for bigger corporations in the past, and you're a number. But here, it's on a smaller scale. But everyone's awesome, and all my bosses, managers have been awesome. So
You just have to look out for that CEO. I hear he's a real ball buster. Well, you have been terrific. It's been so nice to hear a little bit more about what you do. Maybe some people didn't realize that without you, we don't get paid. And and who knows what we'd do for Cheryl if we didn't have you. She would probably lose it. So thank you for coming on to our Unity Forum and for being there. It just means so much to me that you're there doing it day after day, week after week, and not driving you crazy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. No, I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Well, you take good care and keep yourself healthy and well, because we can't do without you.
I will. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. This is great. I mean, if it weren't for COVID, we wouldn't really be learning about the billing and contracts department. So now we are. All right. My last panelist today is a very special lady, Cheryl Curry Brown, Director of Contracts. And I've got there she is. Oh my goodness, you look lovely. 8 years, 7 months I have for you. Is that, yeah, so that's February 13th, 2012. And I asked Karen Franklin before we started here if she could go back and tell me when you got promoted, when we created the position that you're in now. And the reason why it's special to me is because, well, first let's decide the date. I'm going to guess she didn't have it in the paper records didn't go back that far, but I want to guess it was in the fall of 2013 because I started as CEO in July of 2013, and your was the first position I created that seemed like out of the ordinary. Some people didn't think we really needed it, and I was such a new CEO. I didn't really like have a sense of like whether or not I was doing the right thing or not. I remember having a conversation with a colleague who works down in out of the Franklin, out of South Shore, and about whether or not I should create the position for you. I just remember it's kind of special to me in that regard. When was the date? Do you remember?
It
was
was, I think, oh gosh, because I don't know. I've gone into 4 positions since I've been at NuPath.
Oh, yeah. But where we created the position to be over
Yeah,
all of the contracts.
I
Maybe
would
it was the
say
spring of 2014.
definitely fall. It was fall
It was
of
fall.
13. Yeah,
Well,
exactly date, I'm not sure.
and I remember having a conversation with you, and I said, look, you're going to become, this, you're going to be like the horse whisperer. You're going to know contracts in a way that few people really, like the people that really get contracts. There's the people like the Rosemary Sonkus, and the people that you've worked with, over the years from DDS. You guys talk a special language. Like, if you ever
Yeah.
go to recontracting with you, you're like, what now? What? It's like some weird code that you talk, and you just know like what it is and what it
Mhm.
means, right? I mean, it's probably a little simplistic, but that's kind of how it feels. You have taken the position, and you have seen that evolve. You've done all the things we asked you to do. It's not been an easy task. Talk to us about what it's been like, sort of carving out this sort of new position at the time, because we never had a contracts person building all that stuff. And I remember
Yeah.
he didn't really want to let go of it now. You imagine him doing you imagine any of us doing it. Talk to us
Yeah.
a little bit about what that was like in those early days. I'm just curious how you feel you've grown in that way.
It was a little crazy at first because I had gone into it from billing, so I knew nothing about the contracts at that point. And I had gone into it and I read a lot on the DDS websites and Mass Health, and I learned a lot from a lot of people at DDS. I asked a lot of questions, and then I started to figure out, okay, this is what they're looking for. This is what they want, and I started to create things for them that would help us and help them, like a utilization worksheet we keep up with every month so we can track utilization, a certain way they want the rosters done. So I learned what they wanted, and then I learned how to provide to them what they wanted.
You did learn that. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, DDS would say you would tell them what we had for utilization, what we use for units. Because if people don't know how it is, it's like we get a pot of money at the beginning of the year with recontracted, right? They're going to say, okay, for this contract, it's going to be whatever. Let's just throw a number, 10 million for this contract. And then we bill against that total amount, like our goal is to try to bill all of it that we can grab, make sure we bill all of it. It's important. And so they started tracking the utilization rates a lot more closely, and other agencies that have to be figuring it out, like what they use. You'd be like, this is what we have left. This is where we are. And I remember comments like, we wish everybody could be like Cheryl and NuPath.
I told Dan Lannon we're gonna patent my spreadsheet that I made. We're gonna patent it and sell it to other agencies.
It should be sold. I mean, why not? That's intellectual property that belongs to us. You came into the
It became
position.
so important because we have this huge meeting in February with all of the areas in one room together. And you have to go there saying, okay, this is what we have left, but this is what we still need. but you have to explain, why do you still need this left if you're not billing all of this out? And so you have to know, well, we have new individuals starting at this date, we're gonna need to keep this many units. So it just, I took all the information they needed and I'm like, this is what I'm gonna create and this is how we're gonna track it. And so far it's worked for us.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's not just that you know what you're doing is not just, it's not just crunching numbers or just entering data. You've got to also have enough of an understanding of what happens on the program level so that you can argue, well, this is, you know, this is a person at level A or B or C, whatever it is, that this is, you know, knowing how much that reimbursement is for that, or this person needs a monitor, which is why this is, or this is a one-on-one, and therefore that's why their rate's this, or this is the add-on that we have because this person needs nursing. I mean, it's a, you know, everybody's different, and everybody's, you know, funding sort of package can really vary, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. It can change throughout the year. It can change once, twice, 3 times, and you have to track all of that. Yep. So you have to track the money
And between you and Dan Lannon, you're pretty good about not letting DDS push us around.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, if you, like you said, you're not prepared going into one of those recon. And by the way, I used to hate recontracting. Oh my God, I don't miss it one bit. But you're right. Every year in those days, do you still go around and do it with each area, or do you get the area directors all come together?
Oh, nope, they don't do that anymore. Now it's just that January, February utilization meeting they have. And then instead of meeting individually, we send the rosters in and they'll approve the rosters for what we are requesting. And if they approve the rosters, then that's all we do now with recontracting. No more individual meetings.
Yeah, but they'll try to take money back or put it, you know, but and you need to be like, out of my cold dead hands. Will you take that money?
That's why when you go into the utilization meetings, if you have, for example, it looks like you're gonna have 20 grand left in that contract, they will try to take it from you unless you go in there prepared and say, nope, nope, we need that because so-and-so has been out sick, so that's why their attendance was down, or we have a new person starting a month from now, so we need those units kept there. So it's little things like that that's important to track. Otherwise, they will want that money back.
So your position really takes a lot of communication. I mean, you have to have an awareness of what's going on, especially for those tricky cases or those things that are a little bit out of the ordinary. So you have to maintain contact with, you know, you work closely with Dan Lannon and, you know, a number of other staff. There's been frustrations over the years, let's be honest, with staff, you know, giving you data that's incorrect or inaccurate. Your job's tough enough as it is without having to like say, okay, was this person here or were they here? You know, do you feel that we're doing better as an organization in getting, I mean, does having Heather and Tinia there sort of, making sure that it's neat and boxed and looking like it should look by the time it gets to you, or do we still struggle with anything in particular?
No, we're doing very well. We are, and it showed when we closed down the end of March. It showed because we were able to just pull things together and be able to start tracking for all this crazy billing guidances that came out, and it helped that we had everything in place prior to that. We've improved on a lot of things, a lot.
Yeah, but staff need to know that what they're doing, and when they make the data, when they're doing the attendance, it's not just to keep people busy. This is our livelihood. This is how we get paid by the state. And if we don't have the right attendance to put in, then we run the risk of being underpaid and not getting what we should be getting paid, or overpaid and then having to pay it back. So you and then you feel that, you know, you're the last, you know, sort of the last line of defense before some erroneous information gets added into the system, aren't you? I mean, you've got to really sort of know and know what you're doing. So this next year, there's a chance that, given the reduced attendance and the fact that we are going to be losing, you know, money until we make some changes, there's a chance that we could contract in size from, 22 or whatever, 22 million, 23 million to, could be 18 million or less than that even. And it's hard after, we've seen the kind of growth that we've enjoyed, and, we've brought new positions online and everything, but you can kind of start to read the tea leaves, can't you, after this past month? Talk to us about what your thinking is, just, from an expert point of view. Can you give us any, it's not going to be too depressing? We're going to figure it out. Don't you worry about that, but
it's scary. The numbers for August were very scary, low. In a perfect world, I wish that we could open and just have everyone back, because the billing guidances that came out, it's so hard. Because, for example, if someone's funded full-time day half and they're getting 5 days of virtual hours and they're 5, 6 classes they're taking a day, we are capped at billing only 3 out of those 5 days, and we can only bill 3 of those hours per day. So we still providing all of these services 5 days a week over 3 hours, but we're not able to bill for them, and we're still having to pay the staff, we're still having to pay expenses. And if I look at the numbers from last August to this August, it's not good. So
yeah,
I hope that we can have more individuals come back in person sooner than later. Obviously, do it the safest way. Otherwise, it's just, I feel like it's just going to keep going this way for a little bit, unless DDS and Mass Health realize, okay, this isn't working, let's help them a little more here. It's just the guidances put in place are insane.
It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty difficult.
I think it's hard for any agency out there with these guidances that they put out.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been safe. You haven't gotten sick. Your family's all right. Your husband Zach is somebody who did something different.
Yes. Fortunately, we've all have been safe. Fortunately, yes.
Do you wear masks when you go out?
I do.
Good girl.
I have the medical ones. I have design ones. I have all different ones.
Do you have a dinosaur head?
No, I don't.
That's one of a kind there. Not many people would have that, but me. So your family's been fine. And is that picture of Gianna behind you, your daughter? Is about the legend?
This one right here?
Yeah.
That's my niece Skylar. That's my Skylar. My daughter's below and above her. You might not see her. That's my niece. She's graduating from Lowell Catholic this year. She made honor society. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty girls. So you've got people, sort of learning, doing distance learning, or people in your home anyway, you all trying to stay safe and distance and all the rest.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a lot, isn't it? Well, I am just so grateful that, during this whole horrible crisis, you and others on the team, there was never a moment's hesitation. You did what had to be done. I did not think it was going to be as smooth a transition as it was. If you had ever told me a year ago that the entire business office was going to be functioning fairly well, all things considered, and everybody doing their thing remotely from their home location, I wouldn't have believed it. I just think it was gonna, and it's so much better. Don't you agree? When you just all you have to put on is sweatpants in the morning, and you don't have to have your hair.
No traffic.
But at the same time,
you miss seeing people. You do, and you do. When I on Monday, it was nice to see everyone. So we're starting to gradually come back next week, a couple days a week. So it'll be nice.
When I started coming back every day, I noticed that I'd come back into my apartment and I'd be like, oh, it's kind of nice to go. There's this feeling that you have when you've been working all day and then you get back to your home that you just can't, you just don't have that feeling if you're just there 24/7. There's something fresh.
I don't leave the only time I leave really is to walk my dog.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
walk her across the street. We have a life care center across the street, so I'll walk her around there. And there's a woman, and she'll come to the window to see my dog every day. So that's the highlight of my day, because I bring her for a walk over there to see the woman.
It's funny. It's funny the things that bring us joy now. Well,
Yeah.
Cheryl Curry Brown, thank you so much for joining us today, for talking to us. Thank you for being a part of the, the behind the scenes, but so very important task that you do every single day and every single week in coordinating this multi, sort of faceted offense that we have of trying to get the data where it needs to go so that the billing goes to the right place, so that we're not denied payment, so that we get our payments from the state in time to make payroll and everything else that we're trying to do, and especially during this time, this crisis, when things have been so just rife with confusion and anxiety and all the rest. The fact that you've kept a level head about it and really kind of coordinated with your team how you're going to do it. It's just, I think it's noteworthy that we I'm not saying it's not easy, and I'm sure there's been issues, but I haven't heard it being the huge crisis that it might have been. And
No,
I'm sure.
we have a great team. We do. From Elda to James to Dan Lannon to Ted to Tania to Heather. I hate to name because I'll miss names, but everybody has come together and worked together, and we have as a team. So that has helped so much.
Yeah. Hey, that's why we call it the Unity Forum, baby. We work together, and that's the magic of NuPath, right?
And I will not take offense to the anal comment either, because I am.
You wear that like with a badge of honor, don't you?
It's funny because if I'm out of the office and someone's been in my files, I've been, who's been in my files?
You know right
know.
away, don't you? Yeah, yeah. Well, you and I are, we both care deeply about NuPath, but we're got very different constitutional makeup, because I would be a terrible, terrible director of contracts. In fact, I would be fired probably at the first week because I'm not a.
It's not, something. It's not a bad job. I enjoy the work. I've built a lot of relationships with people that work at DDS, and I've got to know a lot of them. And it's not. I don't mind the work at all. I don't. I can do it in my sleep these days.
Well, it's something that not everybody could do. You've got a
Yeah.
unique skill set, and that's very important to us. So we're glad you're with us. You've stayed with us. I just hope you'll be um, safe and don't get sick, because I think we'd be pretty screwed without you. And I it was nice to see you the other day, and I hope that maybe we'll start to see more of you with you coming
Yeah,
in.
next week you'll start to see me next week. Absolutely.
You're just terrific. Thank you so much for sharing with us. You got a great team.
Yes.
You bring in good money. Just keep bringing in more if you can. And
We're gonna try to build as much as we can where we can. We will.
I know you will. And if there's a dollar out there to be had, you'll find it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're wonderful.
Thank you for having me on. It's much appreciated.
No, we appreciate you sharing with us. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye, Cheryl.
Bye.
So that was great. What a great department. That was fun to kind of see how their roles all kind of play together. I'm just deciding whether I want to say something. It's been a good week. People didn't know what I was going to say. We had a board meeting Tuesday night, and it was kind of a hybrid thing, and 4 board members came, and the rest were remote. Today we had the ADP annual meeting, and we took some planning for, and I feel good about where. I mean, it's a very anxious time. I'm not gonna lie. It's trying to just take a breath and know that if we stay focused, if we stay united, and we just take it day by day, we're gonna figure this out. But it doesn't. For somebody like me that wants to be like, okay, what's going on in 6 months and 12 months, and And it can be a frustrating thing because it's just so unknown. We just don't know. And if we've been through it once before, we'd have some sense. But there's just so much that remains up in the air that we're going to have to take our cues from what happens at the state. Jane Ryder, the commissioner, attended the ADDP annual meeting today, and she just commended provider organizations for our response and our resiliency. But then she was talking about the budget, and she had a PowerPoint that she shared on Zoom, and her budget came up, and it looked like this. Yeah, it was a blank sheet, which means there's no budget yet, because the state hasn't passed the budget. So because of that, we're all waiting to see what things are going to really look like as we move into the end of this year and into the next. So yeah, thanks to the billing department attendance, these guys are keeping us paid. For the staff that are doing our attendance and completing those sheets, remember, accuracy is key. Thank you for doing that. It really matters, and all of it really adds up. And yeah, we're gonna get through this. We got this. Oh, one thing I wanted to say, a mother had sent a question in on Tuesday, and she'd asked whether or not the Dahabs were ever going to open because she has not heard about it. And I just sent a very brief email back to her because I just was in the middle of a bunch of other things. But yeah, eventually our Dahabs are going to open. It's just that there's been a delay because the funding's a little bit different, and there's just been some confusion or some uncertainty about how their Dahab will be reimbursing. But I think even more than that is that the folks that attend our Dahabs tend to be people that are more medically fragile. Maybe these are people that have got difficulties with their respiratory systems already or prone to pneumonia. And so I think that a big part of it's just that some of the folks that are a little bit more involved medically may not come back until things, take a significant turn, whether that be through a vaccine or through some sort of a medical intervention. But so I wanted to just say that, Mother, I'm sorry I missed your question, and the Dahabs will be opening, and I think Dan's going to talk next week about even opening the Martin Center over 300 West Covington Park. So I don't know. I don't want to say anything until Dan gets back. But we have to get these programs open. And if you've got kids at home, we got to get them back. We can't build on them if they're not here, or we can't build at the same level. So, but we'll get through this together. All right, Greg, is there anything I should mention before we wrap up?
No, D. That's why we call it the uniform, baby.
Baby, uniform. That's what we are. All right, guys, be safe. Wear your masks. All that stuff. Sick of saying it, but you need to do it. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.